Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports with Sunshine, powered by the Sports Lounge Media. I want to say a quick shout out, as always, at the beginning of every single show. We give a quick shout out to the sponsors, the Mogul Brand and the Diamond Collection. Thank you so much for making the Sports Lounge what it is, and thank you to the Sports Lounge for powering Sports with Sunshine, where you can get any and all sports information, whether that be the NFL, the MLB, or the NHL. We're going to keep you guys up to date, and guys, we are about to be back into the swing of things with the NFL season right around the corner. We have 2 weeks DP until the Hall of Fame game out in July. And then after that, the preseason gets rocking and rolling, and September 4th rolls around, and the Dallas Cowboys come to town. How you feeling, DP? You guys know my man. He's going to come on and step into the shoes of Simone with the sports tonight. I know you guys were expecting to see her, but she did unfortunately have a sickness she had to deal with, so I hope and pray over her family and hope everything's okay with her, and we will definitely get her back on here when she's feeling ready. DP, how you feeling, my man?
Great, man. This is no better time. I say it all the time. This is no better time to be an Eagles fan than right now. How you feel?
Absolutely. Man, I'll tell you. Right now feels like clickbait central. Like it feels like everything that's going on in the NFL right now, like people just need things to talk about. So if you can't talk about fantasy sports, people are like, oh, you know what we'll do? We'll talk about Jalen Hurts a little bit. So we'll get into that a little bit as the show goes on, guys. But we are going to talk a little bit about the home opener that's coming up against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know we have kind of done small little looks at what we feel like Philly needs to do to be better in that game. But, with everything kind of drawing closer, all the teams that we're looking at around the NFL are more solidified now in terms of who the personnel is going to be. I do want to sit and I want to talk a little bit about the opener from this far out, because it looks like this Eagles team that we have is the Eagles team we're going to get. When we look at this Eagles team that's comprised of mostly everybody on offense from a year ago, and a lot of different new faces defensively. I'm interested to see, what my man DP thinks we need to do in order to secure a victory with the banners coming down, because we don't want Dallas to come to Philadelphia and play spoiler like they have in the past. So, we look at the defense that's going to be sporting 4 new starters at different positions. You're going to have a new boundary corner. You're going to have a new safety and 2 new defensive linemen in the rotation. I fully expect Ty Robinson to get early reps, but I think that Romo Jomo, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter are going to be 3 guys that you see throughout the night, kind of through the rotation. And then at edge, Nolan Smith obviously is going to be there along with Jalix Hunt. DP, interested to get your thoughts, man. What do you think, with the defensive personnel that we're looking at that currently are in Philadelphia, what do you expect out of Philadelphia in that opener?
I expect pretty much more of what we saw. Maybe not the dominance that we ended the season with, but kind of what we looked like after about week 5, right? Because we do have some new pieces. I'm least concerned about our D line. I think we're stacked on the interior. We're stacked on the edges. Obviously, we got Zach Bond returning. Question mark is, are Campbell and Dean going to be ready for the beginning of the season? And if not, can Trotter and Smile Monday pick up the slack while they still recover? I think the biggest question mark will be obviously who's going to take that safety position, and
Yeah.
that outside cornerback position. All reports are saying that it's Ringo. Given health, but I still feel really good about it. Ultimately, I trust Vic Fangio and his scheme. He did a really good job last year of implementing some things and helping change the culture on defense. And it's only remain to be seen what we look like without CJ. We've seen what we look like with him. We've seen what he looked like without him. So will it be more of the same? I suspect that we'll be fine. Of course, there's going to be some growing pains, but I think once the young guys get their footing in about a month or so, we're going to take off again.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, Philadelphia historically has not had strong starts. That's something I would like to see out of this game is clean football, right? I know that there's going to be some mistakes. You got to get going within the offense, but I don't want to see a lot of turnovers. I don't want to see a lot of blown coverages. Like, I don't mind that Dallas is probably going to have things going offensively against us in this first week, but I want to see us play, gap safe football. I want to see us not turn the football over. I want to see us establish an early run game like we did a season ago. Um, and then it's like you said, as the season rolls on, we'll get better. I do think Smile Munden gets a lot of those reps. Jeremy Trotter is also going to probably get a lot of reps with Nakobe Dean. Not going to. I doubt we'll see Nakobe Dean within the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, if I had to guess. And then Jahad Campbell has been back on the field per his Instagram account. We have seen him back to work with Andrew Mukuba, which is a good thing to see. Him getting back into the swing of things and that injury not kind of hampering him. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see that. A lot of things. Go Birds, Timothy. Welcome to the chat. Appreciate you for coming in, guys. You can always drop your comments in the chat, and I will read them. We got my man Emode. Go Birds, baby. We are literally less than a month, or well, actually, exactly 2 months out from the opener. Very excited. But back to the business at hand. I think Jahad Campbell is going to be ready to go. But the question is he going to be able to be ready to go full time because he did miss the spring, and we both know how complicated Vic Fangio's defensive scheme can be to learn. So, we got to give him a little bit of grace and give him some time to get equated in that defense. I do agree that I think Ringo is going to be the guy at the boundary corner. I think he's earned it by sitting on the pine for the last, 3 years. I think it's his time to prove he can be a full four down NFL starter. And I do fully expect him to win that boundary corner position over Eli Ricks and Adoree Jackson. But don't be surprised if you see Adoree Jackson come in on specific sets. And then Cooper DeJean, man, Cooper DeJean. I have heard such good things about Cooper DeJean through the course of camp that he's been playing the boundary, the slot, the safety. It really sounds like Vic Fangio trusts him to play anywhere within the defense, which is something you want to see out of a young guy, especially with how complicated Vic Fangio's defense can be. So there. But I'm in the secondary with the Reed Blankenship. So time will tell. But back to another thing we need to talk about. Andrew Mukuba, one of the 30 second-round picks that are holding out due to contract disputes over guaranteed money. Today, we've seen a whole slew of second-rounders do signings. Trayvon Henderson with the Patriots. Trey Harris, who is the first receiver to sit out, signed with the Chargers, which is no surprise, seeing how Mike Williams decided to call it a career. So the Chargers, kind of needed that, and some other names. But Andrew Mukuba has still yet to sign his contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. DP, is this something to be concerned about?
I don't think we should be concerned until he starts to send out camp. If he starts missing those valuable reps, then it'll be a concern. One thing that Kuba has to be cautious of is just the fact that he's in a battle, right? So I mean, you got a chance to be a starting safety on this championship defense. You got to take it. I know he got to stand with his brothers and hold the line a little bit, but you got a prime opportunity to really start in your first year, which is golden. Not only that, if you play around with Howie and the Eagles, we just go sign Simmons and you third on the bench at that point. So
I agreed.
He can't play around with this opportunity. I get it. You got to make sure you get your money first, but don't play around with the Eagles because we're trying to win championships.
Agreed. And I think that when you look at the Andrew Mukuba, we did see footage of him working out with Jahad Campbell, which kind of screams that, a contract will be coming. I fully expect for there to be a contract before the 22nd. Guys, next week, July 22nd, the Philadelphia Eagles will all be reporting for fall camp. The 23rd is the last day. I believe the Steelers and some other teams will be reporting on the 23rd. So by the 23rd, fall camp will be underway. Andrew Mukuba has until July 22nd to sign his contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. If not, probably expect him to not participate in fall camp, which, like DP said, and I couldn't agree more, would be a very big hindrance to his progression with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and you look at history, right? If you're Andrew Mukuba, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown. I mean, defensively, you look at, what Jalen Carter is more than likely going to get this next season. Howie Roseman rewards productivity. So if you can go out and prove you are an asset, Howie Roseman will make sure you get paid. There is no reason. I don't believe. I understand the whole, like, you got to stand your ground, you got to get your guaranteed money, but at the same time, what have you done to prove to the Philadelphia Eagles that you deserve guaranteed money? Because this is a business at the end of the day, right? So you haven't played a single NFL snap. You got to just go get after it. Howie Roseman's going to take care of you as long as you're producing. And I think the most important thing you said is it's so important that he doesn't miss snaps, because if he does, we're on a championship caliber defense. You will get passed over. And Howie Roseman doesn't play. He'll send you down the road. Doesn't care. Like, he's like, okay, well, you don't want to be here. We'll find somebody who does, and somebody who wants to sit and play. And I'm sure Vic Fangio shares that sentiment. I don't think it's a big deal. In my personal opinion, I fully expect Andrew Mukuba to sign his contract either by this weekend or Monday morning. But time will tell. Time will tell with that situation. Very excited for this Philadelphia Eagles team. Very excited for the opener. Now, when we look at what the Philadelphia Eagles need to do to go back to back in the division, there hasn't been a back to back divisional winner since 2004, and that was the Philadelphia Eagles. So well over 10 years since there has been a divisional winner. Damn near 20. So I think that, that is a big deal. But we need to talk about that, in my opinion, before we even think about talking about going back to the Super Bowl. There's so many things that go into going back to the Super Bowl. DP, what does this Eagles team need to do to go back to back in an NFC East that has been retooled with talent everywhere, including New York?
Well, to go to your first point, we really can't afford to start slow. We have one of those rosters that we hit the ground running, right? Week one with an NFC East foe with Dallas. Now, while it's always important to win those types of games, it's that much more important to win them because one, you got to win your conference, you got to win your division. So um, our first four games are Dallas. We got Kansas City.
Yep.
We got
The
Tampa
Rams.
Bay in there and the Rams, yeah. So we really don't have time to play. We gotta I say at the worst, we gotta come out of that 2-2.
Right.
Um
Like we did a season ago.
yeah, no qualms about that. We gotta at least win two of those games. But
Right. Because if
ultimately,
not, then you end up in the Bengals situation where you're
right.
1-4 chasing for the rest of the season. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
with the schedule we have, we just can't afford to get behind at all.
Yeah.
So we got to hit the ground running there. But offensively, I would say, um, obviously, continue to lean on the run game. Maybe not as heavy as we did last year, but then again, we should continue to be a defense that exploits. Continue to be an offense that exploits defenses. If you weak in the run game, we got to pound it. If you weak in the pass game, we're gonna throw it over your head. So I think as long as we continue to be balanced in that aspect, we'll be fine. Obviously, Hurts keeps showing you that if you feel like you can't, that he's the one that has to beat you, he's just gonna beat you. There's no qualms about that. And you already know we just talked about what we expect on this defense. So I think offensively, that's probably a question mark just because of our offensive coordinator, Patullo. He's been in the building. How does he look calling plays? We'll see, but I think we'll just be more balanced.
Agreed. I think that we see Saquon Barkley take a step back in terms of productivity. Do I think he's going to be a 2,000-yard runner? No. If he does, if Saquon Barkley goes back to back in 2,000-yard seasons, guys, he puts
Gold.
his name. Yeah, he puts his name in the top five or top three running backs of all time. Because I don't believe any running back has ever gone back to back 2K seasons. So
No.
that would be something he would be in by himself. And I just think that I have him somewhere in the 15 to 1800 range because I don't think that 345 carries a year is sustainable to the body. He's even talked in interviews with Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean's podcast and a couple others that this season he really took the time to take care of his body because he came off a season in which he had such a high touch to carry deal. So I think that he needs to be rested a little. We bring in AJ Dillon. A lot of people are high on Will Shipley in the building. They think that he's going to be very productive. Both of those guys are going to get reps, right? They're going to get opportunities to be a part of this offense. The offensive line comes back everywhere except right guard, where we're going to see Tyler Steen, who probably should have been the starter a year ago. So now the continuity continues. You have two All-Pros in Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, a future All-Pro in Jurgens, and in my opinion, an All-Pro in Landon Dickerson. So the offensive line's fine in terms of continuity. We have the best offensive line coach in football. We're going to want to run the football on people, guys. This is as long as Jeff Stoutland is in Philadelphia, I would be very surprised if this ever became an air raid type of offense like the Bengals or the Rams for that matter. I think that we're gonna see balance. Jalen Hurts has had a record-breaking spring camp. I think he had a 71% accuracy, 27 touchdowns to 1 interception in camp, which is the best he's ever had. I think spending time with some goats over the offseason might have paid off with him in terms of, mindset. Very excited. I think that this is the year we're going to see, and Jalen Hurts is obviously the guy that we want to look at. I think this is the year we're going to see Jalen Hurts put up the best passing numbers we have ever seen him put up. And that doesn't mean he's going to go throw for 3,540 touchdowns, because I don't think that's what he's going to be asked to do. But don't be surprised if he creeps up to that 28, 27 range for touchdowns, right? He was 18 a year ago, and he sat out 3 games. Otherwise, he probably would have already been at that 23 to 25 total. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to have the best year we have ever seen throwing. I'm not going to come out and say he's going to win the MVP, because in Philadelphia, I don't ever think that, they're asking him to do that, especially with all of the talent he has around him. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at utilizing the talent that's around him, per Des Bryant, per Torrey Smith. So those are ex-NFL players saying that they've never seen a quarterback handle the amount of superstars that Jalen Hurts has. Man, we can get into that. Jalen Hurts has been under a frigging microscope, it seems like, over the last 2 years, right? Everything that I turn on any kind of sports, whether it's First Take, whether it's, Up and Atom, NFL, and we're talking about the Super Bowl MVP. We're talking about Jalen. We're talking about, is he really top 5? Is he really top 10? In my opinion, he was disrespected when he was put at 9. I don't see a world in where Justin Herbert or Jared Goff, or even Jaden Daniels for that matter, should be above him in a top 10 list. DP, let's talk about the Jalen Hurts disrespect a little bit. Obviously, we're not new to it. We know that it happens. It happens all the time, and he just continues to prove people wrong. Jalen, what has Jalen done to warrant this kind of disrespect?
Well, first we got to go all the way back to college, right? So he's always going to be seen as the guy who lost his starting job to Tua. He's always going to be seen as the guy who had to transfer to Oklahoma, didn't win the Heisman, yada yada yada. Gets drafted in the NFL in the second round, which is a major reason why he's hated, because
only
they
top
just
10
prop up,
quarterback,
yeah,
by the way, from the second round. Only
yeah.
one.
So they like to prop up their first round guys. It seems like the media and sports pundits, once they pick their guy, they stick to that, and no matter what's going on, they craft a narrative and make excuses for these guys, and then in turn flip the script when you see somebody like a Jalen Hurts succeed. Because get this straight, championships mattered until Jalen won one. Now they don't matter anymore. And it's just,
Wins mattered,
yeah,
and
yeah,
now all of
until
a sudden
now,
it's no, Lamar needs a little more, like,
yeah,
before, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I completely agree with you. I think that I think he doesn't win the way the media wants him to win, and they're so deathly afraid of being proven wrong. And it's like you said, they wanted Justin Herbert to be this messiah. They're like, because all we heard about when he was coming out was, gosh, he's got the best throwing motion we've ever seen. He's got the biggest arm we've ever seen. He could be the next Tom Brady with how he accesses fields. All of a sudden, we look now, we fast forward, he has his first 5 years where he throws for the most yards ever for a rookie. After that, nothing. 0-2 in the playoffs, 2 touchdown to 4 interception ratio. You can arguably say it's 2 to 3, because one of them was a drop by Quentin Johnson that landed right in the other guy's hand. It was Will Dissly, but I'll give him grace with that one. But outside of that, the other 3, absolutely all on him. So I just don't understand. And putting a rookie at 5? We're going to give Jaden Daniels his flowers before he's even had the chance to come back and show us what kind of a quarterback he is when there's film on him. And you got guys, all these, the TikTok analyst kings and all these people that are saying, well, Jalen, when he's put with people, when he's put with people that aren't so good, he doesn't perform. Okay, so what we're saying, we look at Troy Aikman. back in the day. Number one offensive line to ever play football. Hall of Fame receiver. Hall of Fame running back. 3 championships. No one ever faults Troy Aikman for that. We look at Peyton Manning. Hall of Fame, 2 Hall of Fame receivers. One with the Colts and one with the Broncos. We never fault him for that. We look at Tom Brady, Randy Moss, multiple Hall of Fame defenders. We don't fault him for that. So I just it baffles me that Jalen Hurts is held to a top 5 standard and no one else is.
Yeah, it's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to evaluating Hurts as a quarterback, because ultimately, in my opinion, and what should be considered uh, the standard is quarterback play should come down to how well you run your offense, not how well you can throw a ball, not how pretty you can throw it. What's your decision making? How clutch are you? Those type of things matter to me, right? So when we talk about the clickbait Kellys and the media pundits who say stuff, I heard a crazy remark the other day. This guy said that, I don't even know his name. He said that if Patrick Mahomes was on the Jets, drafted by the Jets in 2018, they would have won a Super Bowl by now. Asinine to me. But this is just the
Asinine.
kind of stuff that we have to deal with just because Hurts is doing well. And if you think about it, if Hurts would have had the career so far that Herbert or Lawrence has had, he would be out the league already. He
100%.
definitely wouldn't be a starter.
He wouldn't be in Philly. I'll tell you that right now. Also, Rockout says they give Cowboys the praise for everything, but they downplay the negatives. Yeah, man. We always hear about how great of a regular season Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott is. We always hear that he's a better thrower of the football. Then, he's one of those quarterbacks that gets the January cold. Him and Lamar both, they get the January cold where all of a sudden it tightens up a little bit and they're like, ooh, oh,
Mhm.
can't play in January. So I can agree with you there. But DP, you hit the nail on the head, man. I think that people need to define how they define what an elite quarterback is, because I
And
completely agree
stick
with you.
to it.
Be consistent. At least we are consistent as Eagles
Mhm.
fans. I give Jalen Hurts the same criticism that I give Lamar and Josh. When people talk about the Super Bowl in 2022, they love to talk about the PI that was a phantom PI. And was it? Probably, right? Was that probably a phantom PI? Absolutely. If Jalen had not fumbled the football, which we were up 24-10. You fumble the football, now it's 24-17 going into the half. That flipped the script. It completely changed the momentum. And I was this was before we obviously all got into content creation. I was very critical of Jalen Hurts over that. I was like, man, you had such a great game, but that one fumble changed the course of everything. And I can't not fault Jalen for that, but then I'm faulting Lamar for having 2 turnovers in a playoff game against the Bills. You see, like, at least we're consistent with how we criticize quarterbacks. Outside of that, Jalen Hurts has been sensational in most playoff games. Outside, even in this last Bucks game, he wasn't horrible. He didn't throw for a lot of yards. The team as a whole was bad. But when you look at his stats, again, 150 yards and he didn't have great accuracy numbers. So I think that when we are saying, hey, what is an elite quarterback, you need to define what is elite to you, because it's okay if you value the regular season and you value MVPs. If that's what you value in a quarterback, just say that. Don't try to mask or hide behind, well, I'm a ball knower. That's why no, you just like touchdowns and you like yards and you like big numbers. And if you do,
And
that's
you don't
okay.
like Hurts.
Exactly. And if you just don't like the guy, just say that. It's that simple, man. Jalen Hurts wins when you're not supposed to win. Everybody said that what was it, DP, before we won the Super Bowl? The Eagles will never go to another Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. We get there, we win it. Well, Jalen Hurts has never thrown for more than 20 touchdowns in a regular season. There's no way he'll win a second one. And when Jalen ends his career with 3 or 4 rings, it'll be, well, he played with AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley and the best offensive line. And he had the best GM in football. Man, sounds like Justin Herbert should ask for a trade.
Yeah, man. It's just it's a lot of disrespect that goes on with that, and a couple of the arguments that we hear all the time are, you put such and such on the Eagles, then they win.
Oh my God. The
You
hype, the made up
yeah,
situations.
the Philadelphia Eagles are only winning because they're in the NFC. Like Hurts record ain't 15-1 against the AFC. Um, you hear it all. It's like there are literally wheels on the goalpost as much as they move them. They got to be wheels on there.
They're not picking them up.
No, they not. It's just what they putting wheels on the goalpost and they move them every time. And to be honest, at this point, I'm not even upset about it anymore. And I think
Nah.
that it's more fuel than anything for Hurts. They really creating a monster.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hysterical in all
yeah,
honesty. What's happening, Aaron? Good to see you, my
what's
man.
good? I think they're really creating a monster because normally when you win a Super Bowl, you win a Super Bowl MVP, you have to kind of find something to get you going for the next
Right.
season.
You have to
But
deal
not
with
not
success because
yeah,
now you have everybody telling you how good you are.
but not Hurts.
Nope.
He's been you might as well thought he got put out in the first round the way they talk
Yeah,
about him.
I was about to say you would think that he had like that he was 15 for 30 with 120 yards. Like, because in my opinion, a bad football game is when you're not taking care of the football, when you're not accurately hitting your passes down the field. That to me, that's an elite football game. Whenever
Mhm.
you're operating within an elite level within your offense, that's what I think is an elite football game. When we look at Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, I mean, hell, he was at so what 68 something, 68 touchdowns. And he was at 223 yards, two touchdowns to one. He had the one pick. I mean, hell, he hadn't thrown an interception since week friggin' 12 or 10. And now he has the turnover. Good to see you as well, Aaron. Nice to see you, man. The NFL season's right around the corner. Rocco says Hurts passing. Oh dang, it's not popping up. Hold on, Rocco. Let me get you. Let me get you up here. Oh, yep, there we go. I'm having connection issues. My apologies. Apologies. Hurts passing rushing will be combined for over 30 touchdowns. It just doesn't look how people want it to look, essentially. Couldn't agree with you more. I had a guy just the other day tell me that his rushing touchdowns didn't count because they were from a yard out. And my rebuttal was, did they add points to the scoreboard?
And
Well,
they added
yeah.
6 points. They
Yeah,
did. They
so
didn't add three.
so then they count. No? And then they were like, well, if he didn't have that, he wouldn't be able to do it. Josh Allen can't run it. He tried to in the playoff game. He got stuffed 3 times against Kansas City.
And we're not gonna
So
sit up here and act like the Bills don't have a great offensive line. Cooks
exactly.
cooks. Cooks is a top 5 back in this league. Now we can give you that he doesn't have what we have on the outside, but he has 2 bona fide tight ends. He's got a hell of an offensive line. He himself is a hell of a runner. Plus, he's
Hell,
got Cooks in the backfield.
right guard Torrance was an all pro as a rookie, I believe. He from the University of Florida he came out. Like, we're not gonna act like there's not dudes on this Bills offensive line. Now, is it the Eagles? No.
No.
But we're still like, just because like not everyone can have the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. I'm sorry, that's just not the way football works. So I
Only
think
one
that
SDU.
Yeah, there's only one Yeah, boy, he took the words out of my mouth. I just think Jalen. It's funny because like you seen what Jalen said after the Super Bowl. I can't control what these people say about me. All I can do is go out and win. And I'm with you on that. I'm not really. I've never really been upset about it because I mean me and you have played this game, at multiple different levels, and when you look at it as an athlete, you just kind of laugh. You're like, man, it must suck believing something to such an extent of your heart just to be wrong. Like all these
I
guys, they want Herbert to be that guy so bad, and now the
Yeah.
new shiny pony is Jaden Daniels. So
hmm
we'll see what happens with that in year two. What I do know is that Jalen Hurts is going to play well enough for the Philadelphia Eagles to have a playoff spot. I know that for a fact.
Well, I mean, you want to have your guy, right? When you are a fan of a franchise, you want to believe that you have your guy. But you know who knows they have their guy? Us,
The Eagles.
because we got a championship to show for. You know who else knows they got a guy? The Chiefs.
Multiple
Yeah.
championships. Two
So
NFC championships and a Super Bowl.
so
That's a great point. The Chiefs, another good
Yeah,
point.
they know they have their guy. Not to say that none of these other guys that are in the conversation for the top 4 or 5 players, quarterbacks in the league, but ultimately you gotta have something to show for it at the end of the day. And if we don't win another championship, you can't take away from the fact that Hurts is already a Super Bowl MVP. Now, do I expect us to be in it or in the conversation the next 2 to 3 years? Of course. This year is a
Yeah.
is an excellent chance for us to go out and do that. But we can't predict the future. We'll wait and see. But I'm excited about this year, man. And September 4th can't
Absolutely.
get here soon enough.
It's like every night you go to sleep and you're just like, man, I can't wait for the preseason games. I'm gonna be watching the preseason games like the regular season games. And I
Yep.
think that, you know, Jalen Hurts is on track to have a Hall of Fame career, whether you like it or not. Whoever watches this that doesn't like Jalen Hurts, he's got better numbers in his first 5 years. Because you guys got to remember, Jalen Hurts is relatively young when we look at him compared to other. Josh Allen's entering his 8th year in the NFL. You know, a lot of these other guys, Lamar, I believe, is entering his 8th. Joe Burrow is starting to get up there with his, his years in the NFL. Jalen Hurts is relatively young for an NFL quarterback, and his first 5 seasons, he's got better numbers than Troy Aikman did in Dallas, in
I'm about to say that.
the same number of championships.
So
The only
he's
thing
on.
he doesn't have, in chat, listen to me. If if Jalen Hurts wins an MVP, I'm not saying he has to. I don't care if he does or if he never does, and we continue to win championships. I'm happy. If he wins an MVP and you don't like him, don't watch my shows anymore because he'll never be anywhere under two dose in
I
the
mean,
NFL.
he there for me now.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, to wrap it up, give me your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL based off your criteria of what's elite.
And I'm actually gonna do this on my show too, so I haven't had a
Oh,
chance
my fault. My
to
fault. We
like
can pop.
really.
We
No. We
okay.
gonna we gonna we gonna. So just off the dome, I gotta put. I'm gonna go Stafford at 5.
It's a good one.
I'm gonna put. I gotta put Joe Burrow in there at 4.
Joe Burrow. Okay.
I'll put Allen at 3, Hurts at 2, and Mahomes at 1.
Man, a guy that knows football. And let me say this before because I'm assuming everyone's going to jump on and be like, oh my God, no, Lamar Jackson? DP, like me, values playoff performance. He values getting it done in the clutch. Lamar has not done that. That leaves him out of our top 5. For me, I'm going Patrick Mahomes at 1. Obviously, one bad season does not derail the fact that Patrick Mahomes
Absolutely
has
not.
three Super Bowls in 5 years. It doesn't. So give me Patrick Mahomes. He also has an 81% win percentage in the playoffs. That I don't think you guys understand how absolutely insane. If Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl next season, it still wouldn't put him at 1. That's how good of a win percentage in the playoffs that is.
Unless it was against the Chiefs.
Yeah. I'm about to say if it was a third head to head and he did it,
Yeah,
then
it's
maybe I
right.
could give it to him. So I'll go Patrick Mahomes at 1. At 2, I'm going to surprise you. Give me Matthew Stafford. He's 6-2 in the playoffs, 17-3 touchdown to interception ratio. He's one of the best playoff performing quarterbacks we've ever seen. I don't care. People, well, what about his time in Detroit? He was pretty good in Detroit too. Outside of
I
Calvin
mean, it's
Johnson,
Detroit.
what did he have in Detroit outside of Calvin Johnson? Because everybody loves to make that argument. Well, he doesn't have enough guys.
I
But
mean, he
it's
put up the numbers that they use to prop up these other guys in Detroit. That seems to be all they care about.
exactly. So give me Matthew Stafford at 2 with a 6-2 playoff record. He like Josh Allen has incredible playoff performances. So I'm not necessarily going to put that on him. The fact that he doesn't have more wins. At 3, my man Jalen Hurts at 3, firmly at 3. Do I even need to say anything? I mean, he's 6-3 in the playoffs. 20 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, a 96 passer rating, better than Lamar. And I believe he has a 57 QBR, which is deemed as good in the NFL. It's not elite. Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback in the top 5 that has what's considered an elite QBR in the playoffs. So keep that in perspective. At 4, give me my man Joe Burrow. Although he hasn't been to the playoffs in 2 years, I don't necessarily know that that's his fault. When we look at his playoff numbers, he's right there. I'm really close to putting him above Jalen Hurts because of how great his playoff numbers is. Why do I give it to Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts has an All-Pro and a Super Bowl MVP. Somehow, Joe Burrow doesn't have an All-Pro yet. He will, but somehow he doesn't yet. So I'm going to give the edge to Jalen. At 5, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, that God rest that man's soul. If you go look at his playoff games, he's been sensational with the Bills. Absolutely sensational.
He's a beast.
He's an all-pro, a league MVP. I understand Lamar has league MVPs, but I'm telling you right now, Lamar's playoff performances completely overshadow the fact that he's a 3-time first-team all-pro and a 3-time league MVP. unless you value that. If you value that, then Lamar's probably higher on your list. But Lamar's at 6 for me, right on the outside looking in. If Lamar can have some playoff success, I'll bump him into my top 5. I'll put him in there over Josh Allen because he finally gets it done. But that's my top 5. I'm going Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. Rockout says the NFC East is the NFC beast and will be very competitive this year. I agree with you, Rock. I think my man DP does too. There's no reason to believe that the Dallas Cowboys can't be competitive when Dak is healthy. They went 12-3 3 years in a row. They've constantly been competing for first place in the East. I understand they didn't have a great football team a year ago, but I do think Dallas is going to be great. I still think the Commanders are going to compete. I have them at 9-8, which is only 2 games back from where they were a year ago, only because I think that film exists on Jaden Daniels, so we see that step back. I don't think Philly lost enough to lose that first place spot, but if the defense doesn't get clicking, I could see Dallas making a push for that first spot, or even the Commanders. And, even though we haven't seen it yet from the Giants, they got better with Russell Wilson in that defense. Now, I still have them at 4-14, I believe, because I haven't seen it come together yet. When I see it come together, I can change my perspective. But right now, I don't know if do I think Russell Wilson can get you more wins than Danny Dimes? Sure, but I need to see it happen first.
Yeah, I think that the Giants are probably the biggest wild card in the division because they can be really good or they can be terrible. That defense on paper is legit.
Agreed.
They were good last year. They just underwhelmed on both sides of the ball. Just
And they have a brutal start to this
year. They do. They got a brutal schedule. But everybody in the division has a brutal schedule. But
Right.
I think they're the most interesting team. I suspect that Washington, everybody sees them coming this year, so they kind of fall back down to earth a little bit. I'm not gonna put a slump on Jaden Daniels because we just don't know. I just need to see the same or similar success that he had last year.
Right.
And as far as Dallas, we know what Dallas is with that at the helm. They're regular season superstars, so they're going to be in it unless he gets hurt. They're going to be in it, to the end of the season.
Agreed. And I think that, a good point with the not the Cowboys, the Giants. If the Giants can come out of that 6-game stretch 3-3, or even like what 2-2 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2-4, I think that would be a win for them. As long as they don't come out 1-6, then I think that, or 1-5. I think that anything above that would be a win because you got us twice. Kansas City, the Rams, and the Commanders to start the year. And I think they have the Saints sprinkled in there. So the Saints is their break. But outside of that, just brutal. But guys, end of the day, I'm excited. The season's around the corner. We literally have really just a week before the Hall of Fame game that's going to take place in Canton, Ohio, between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Detroit Lions. If you enjoy watching what these rookies can be, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then after that, man, the regular season's right around the corner. September 4th is not that far away. I believe we're going to be entering 50 days before the NFL season starts here soon. Fully expect Andrew Mukuba to sign by Monday. The Philadelphia Eagles report for training camp on July 23rd. Do I say 23rd, 22nd?
22nd, they report. 23rd, they practice.
Exactly. So, fall camp's underway. The NFL season has returned, and our schedules are about to get a lot busier. Very exciting stuff. DP, I want to say thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate it, guys. If you need anything in terms of sports, the Sports Lounge Media is the premier media source online. You can go to www.sportsloungemedia.com, where you can find shows like Sports with Sunshine, the Down South Philly Show, SLM Bets, the the Marshall Experience, which has everything you need for fantasy football. Guys, the Sports Lounge Media is the place to go for the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, and college sports. I want to say thank you to the Mogul brand and the Diamond Collection for sponsoring the Sports Lounge, and thank you to the Sports Lounge for sponsoring Sports with Sunshine. You guys know me. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, drop a subscription, and drop in the comments what you think the Eagles record is going to be. I love hearing from you guys. For now, it's goodbye, but I will see you guys on Monday, where we're going to be talking a little bit about what happens over the weekend. Fully expect to see some faces get signed. Hopefully we get some Andrew Mukuba news. As for now, it's always go Birds.
Go Birds.